sir.
Good morning, Chairman. My name is Tuambo Mutinta, Member of Parliament for Itezo constituency. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning. We are our witness, Member of Parliament for Itezo constituency and a member of the Planning and Budget Committee.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and welcome witness. I'm Engineer Rafa Marenga, Member of Parliament for Mawabezi constituency in Western Province, and I should declare interest that I'm the chairperson for this committee. Thank you.
Which committee, sir?
The media information and communication technologies. So that's why I'm declaring interest, and I think we have done a good job.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and colleagues, and good morning, witness. My name is David Mavumba, Member of Parliament for Mwanza Province. Thank you, and welcome, witness.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, witness. I'm Frank Simushi, Member of Parliament for Skongo constituency.
Okay.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. I'm Jeff Murebo, MP for Kafula Futa constituency in Masaiti district on the Copper Belt. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, witness. My name is Karalom Kosa, Member of Parliament for Chisari.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, witness. My name is Chinga Myutu. I represent Karau Central.
Thank you. Honourable members, those participating virtually, introductions.
Morning, Chair, once again. My name is Miriam Chonya, Member of Parliament for Kafue constituency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning once more, Honorable Chair, and good morning, witness. My name is Lubusha Andrew. I'm Member of Parliament for Chipangari constituency.
Good morning, Chair, once more. This is Engineer Oliver Mutike, Member of Parliament for the good people of Mongo Central, the home of the Komboka ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And my name is Fred Jatila, Member of Parliament for Momba constituency in Monze, the chairperson for the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee. So Vice Chairperson, we have your submission, as I indicated, where we are considering the two heads, that is Ministry of Information and Media and the Zambia Correctional Service Commission. So what we need to do is, if you need all of it, we'll give you, say, 15 to 20 minutes to take us through your submission, and I'll allow the members to ask questions after that, and then we'll be done. You can start, Honorable, other than when you are ready.
So thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the Committee on Planning and the Budget. As stated by yourself, Honorable Chairperson, the committee has been handling age 26 Ministry of Information and Media and 36 Zambia Correctional Service Commission. Our committee, Honorable Chairperson, will highlight the findings and recommendations of the committee on the stated age 26 and age 36. Chairperson, allow me to highlight some of the recommendations of the committee on the two heads of the expenditure. So the key features of the committee findings and recommendations, that is on the age 26 Ministry of Information and Media, are as follows. The committee learned that the approved budget allocation to the Ministry of Information and Media for 2026 will be 233.8 million kwacha, an increase of 14.4% from the 2025 allocation that stood at 204.1 million kwacha. The committee further noted that the Management and Support Services program was expected to see a substantial increase, rising from 59.6 million kwacha in 2025 to 102.4 million kwacha in 2026, 72% as an increase. Notably, out of the total allocation, 37.6 million kwacha was one of provision to the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation, ZNBC, to support preparations for and coverage of the 2026 general elections. Cost-cutting and emerging issues. The first one is delayed funding. The committee noted with concern that delayed funding remained a persistent challenge for the ministry. In 2024, only 78% of the allocation was utilized, leaving 42 million kwacha unspent. The reason was late release of funds. The ministry only received the funds in December, and later the funds were swept back to the treasury. This continued trend hampered the effective planning and implementation of the programs. 2. Percentage of national budget. The committee observed that the ministry's allocation had remained below 1% of the national expenditure, averaging 0.09% over the past 3 years. This level of funding was inadequate for the ministry to fulfill its mandate, including completing the digital migration project and improving rural information access. Our observations and the recommendations as a committee: first, it is on the provincial broadcasting studios. The committee has repeatedly raised concerns that digital migration project has remained stalled since 2020. With the National Operating Center that is located at ZNBC and with the 6 provincial facilities, that is broadcasting facilities, which are over 90% complete but still not completed and unutilized. The committee further notes with concern that there is no allocation towards the completion of the project in the 2026 budget. The committee acknowledges that the $41.1 million required to complete the project is too substantial to allocate at once. In this regard, the committee recommends that 2 million kwacha be varied from the budget for Solwezi Provincial Studio. Further, the committee recommends that a new budget line be created in the yellow book to reflect this variation of 2 million kwacha. 2. Of video archive. The committee notes that the urgent need for substantial resources to digitize video archives materials, many of which remain in analog form. This lack of digitization limits public access, hinders revenue generation, and risks the loss of valuable national heritage, essential for education, research, and cultural preservation. In this regard, the committee recommends that the Treasury considers allocating an additional 10 million kwacha to the ministry to facilitate digitization of archive materials. This will preserve valuable historical content, enhance accessibility through modern platforms, and create opportunities for revenue generation through commercial use of media assets. In the event that an additional 10 million kwacha cannot be allocated to this budget line, the committee urges the Treasury to reallocate 1 million kwacha from the provision for the construction of Choma Studio to ensure that this critical activity commences without further delay. 3. Unrealistic projections. The committee notes a sharp increase in projected non-tax revenue for the ministry from 751,201,000 in 2025 to 8.3 million kwacha in 2026, representing an extraordinary growth of over 1,000%. However, these projections lack justification as there are no evident income generating activities or major developments to support such a sharp increase from the previous years. In this regard, the committee recommends that the ministry revises its non-tax revenue projections to align with realistic and verifiable expectations. We move to part 2 on the key features of the committee's findings and recommendations on Age 6, which is Zambia Correctional Service Commission. The committee learned that the approved budget allocation to the commission for 2026 was 16.2 million kwacha, while the one for 2025 stood at 16.1 million kwacha, and that as at July 30th, 2025, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning had only released 9.6 million kwacha out of the total allocation of 16.1 million kwacha, representing a 59.6% release. Out of this amount, 6.1 million kwacha was non-personal emoluments, while 3.4 million kwacha was for personal emoluments. Our observations and recommendations as a committee, that is in summary: 1. Officer promotions. The committee observes that while targets relating to officer redeployments, secondments and transfers were achieved, only 90 out of the targeted 100 promotions were implemented. The committee further notes with concern that this reflects a recurring trend from the previous year, indicating persistent challenges in the career progression for officers. Considering the inadequate funding may have contributed to this situation, the committee recommends that the Minister of Finance and National Planning increases the Commission's budgetary allocation. This would facilitate more promotions, regrading of staff, thereby enhancing motivation and supporting career advancements within the correctional service. 2. Delayed release of funds. The committee observes with concern that as at 30th July 2025, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning only released 9.6 million kwacha out of the total allocation of 16.1 million kwacha, representing 59.6% release. The committee therefore urges the Treasury to ensure that there is timely and predictable release of funds to the Commission in line with the approved cash flow priorities or profiles. 3. Insufficient budgetary increment. The committee observes that the Commission was allocated 16.1 million kwacha in 2025, and in 2026 there is a proposal for 16.2 million kwacha, representing 0.62% increase. This increase in the allocation is insufficient to sustain the Commission, which was separated from the Zambia Police Service Commission and left without conducive office space. These are some of the challenges. Then equipment and manpower, lack of adequate transport, furniture and many other items to support the Commission's work. Considering the significant role the Commission plays in strengthening and criminal justice system, the committee recommends that the Ministry of Finance and National Planning increases the allocation to the Commission to enable it, among other things, relocate to a conducive working environment away from the condemned building it currently occupies. Conclusion. Honorable Chairperson, the Committee on Media, Information and Communication Technologies looked at the 2026 estimates of revenue and expenditure for Age 26 Ministry of Information and Media and Age 36 Zambia Correctional Service Commission. While the committee notes that there has been a slight increase in allocations under the two heads, the Ministry of Information and Media and Zambia Correctional Service still requires additional funding to effectively undertake or execute their mandates. Further, the committee urges the Treasury to ensure timely and predictable release of funds in accordance with the approved cash flow profiles, as delayed disbursements undermines the effective implementation of the planned programs and activities. Honorable Chairperson, on behalf of my colleague, I submit to your committee.
Okay, thank you very much, Vice Chairperson, for that submission. Honorable members, any questions? Honorable
Chair.
Honorable Mtinta, then Honorable Mavumba. Honorable.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, when you come to the recommendations under the head under media, the committee is proposing that a new budget line be created in the Euro book. So I just want to understand whether it is doable to create a new budget line. Maybe the chair can, how do you want to do it at this level to create a new budget line? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Mavumba.
Thank you, Chair. For me, I take the witness to page 8 of their presentation in their recommendation in number 3. Vice Chairperson, in your conversation, because it is true when you look at the difference in terms of the 2025 non-tax revenue from 751,000 to 8.3 million in 2026 is quite huge, and I totally agree with your proposal here. But in your conversation with the minister responsible for this particular ministry, what in their view, what could have contributed the Minister of Finance to have increased the revenue projection from 751,000 to 8.3 million? I submit.
Thank you. And just on the same also to just add, I wanted to find out whether the committee did look at the actual collections under that, because the budget was, as one of our members, 751,000, isn't it? So for them to move it maybe to 8 million, maybe they looked at what actually they collected for that particular. Maybe you can just look at that as well to just add on his question. Then
another one before, if it's possible.
Just what on is it a different one?
Yes.
Okay, so let's give chance to Honorable Smith, then I'll come back to you. Honorable Smith.
Mine is on the same page 8 on recommendations. They are talking about raising 10 million for the digitization project, but they are not saying where is this going to come from. Is it from they are borrowing funds from a certain head or within the same head? It's not coming out clear. Page 8. Page 8, number 2, digitization of video archive. Why you are saying in this regard, the committee recommends that the Treasury considers allocating an additional 110 million to the ministry. So the question is, where is this? You want it? Have you varied from within what you have in the head, or you want it to come from a different head?
Okay, you can respond to those, then we'll go to the next.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I will take first question, and I think the last question. Honorable Tainga will take the second question. The first question was, is it 2 million kwacha? Honorable Tomba Mutinda, 2 million kwacha to be a new budget line to be created in the yellow book. So this is for the varied funds. A government, in fact, government is constructing about 6 provincial studios, but there are 2 that are being constructed, that is in Choma and Solwezi. So the recommendation from the committee is that if funds can be varied on the Choma broadcasting, that is provincial studio, that is 2 million kwacha. If that was actualized, I think we'll be able to, the ministry will be able to raise 10 million kwacha. But that, the proposal to the ministry is that if that can stand on its own in the budget, in the yellow book, that is if the variation was to be actualized. The let me...
No, just focus on that one. So are you proposing that we move 2 million kwacha from the Choma to Solwezi?
No, Choma, we move 2 million kwacha from Choma to the 6 provincial studios that are at 90%. Because Choma and Solwezi, these are new projects, but the 6 projects, most of them they are above 90%. So that's the understanding of the committee. If resources were to be varied from Choma, the same funds would like assist in completing the 6 provincial studios that are at above 90%. But it should have a separate budget line in the yellow book.
So because your comment is that in this regard it recommends, meaning the committee, that 2 million be varied from the budget line for the Solwezi. And you mentioned Choma, so because you said Choma and the Solwezi, I think in terms of progression are advances it is. So that's why we want to be clear. You mentioned of Choma, but in the recommendation the Solwezi. That's why we are not clear, isn't it?
It is actually Solwezi.
It's Solwezi, not Choma.
Yes, not Choma.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Then the other question was, first Honorable Tango can take the other question, the second question.
So Mike?
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson. The question that was raised by Honorable David Mavumba in regarding to the non-tax revenue, the increase in the non-tax revenue, shooting from 751 to about 8.3. Well, in our conversation with the ministry did actually indicate that they intend to revise the structures of the TV levies and also the licenses. So the money is projected to come from these 2 levies, that is the TV licenses and also the new license structure that has been structured for this year.
Honorable Mabumba?
Thank you, Honorable Tainga. But in your justification, if you look at your justification and the answer Honorable you have given, they are really not in tandem. Because if you look at this one, where I saying, however, this projection lack clear justification as there are no evident income generating activities or major development to support such a sharp increase from previous years. So you need to reconcile, maybe probably chair this.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Honorable Member. In our conversation with the ministry, this is what came out from the ministry. We did actually ask them why there was this huge jump from 751 to about 8.3. So in their answering, they did actually indicate they are projecting to raise these funds from the new TV levies and also the new license fees. That's what came out from them.
So if that's the case, then there's no need to worry about, isn't it? Unless if I got you, because the narration is that the committee recommends that the ministry revises its non-tax revenue projection to align with the realistic, isn't it, and verifiable expectation. And that's why I was asking, because these are trend analysis. One could be that you observe what has been collected so far in 2025, and it may be pointing to the fact that they will achieve that, or there's new development, as you said, that they are projecting to getting more from those. So meaning then this one maybe may fall off.
Chair, what I've gotten is that the committee is recommending that the ministry revises these projections
downward.
Now, what Honorable Taengwa is answering is he is just responding to the question that he was asked by Honorable Mavumba, that what is it that they said is going to result in this more than 1,000%. So they said this is what they plan to do. Now, according to the committee, they are not seeing that to be feasible.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Double on that one so that we can get credit from the ministry. Honorable Simush, we'll come to you, Honorable Mulewa, just now. Your mic, Honorable.
We need to make it get what the Honorable is saying there. But I think it must be very clear here. If the committee asked the witness as to why this big jump is happening and an explanation was given, I don't see how the committee can still come back and say that justification is not reasonable. And the honorable member there is actually explaining the response that they were given. So we cannot have it both ways. So it's either if you don't accept what they said, on what basis? Have we done the mathematics or what? Because there must be
is sure they will.
Yes. So how do we then come and say we are still questioning them?
You are the.
So I just want to add on what my colleague is saying, because witness, what they should have done in this recommendation is that they should have taken into account what came from the ministry. And then on the basis of what came from the ministry and on the basis of their analysis, then they would have been able to say, despite the minister having stated that they would be collecting money from increased license fees, however, as a committee for our analysis, this is not possible for the following reason. Maybe probably that would have tied in.
Yeah.
But here, the minister has said something, then the committee also says something without providing a critical analysis in this particular submission that they have given us, unless if it is sitting somewhere.
Yeah. And considering that this money, this committee that we raise more.
Maybe chair before.
Is it the same or is it a different one? Is it okay,
yeah, I'm struggling to get clarity on where the question which one about Mawumba asked. The 10 million, is it coming from the money allocated to the ministry, or they're asking for supplementary budget?
No, that's one different. That has not been answered.
That has not been answered. And also, Chair, my little understanding is that at this level, you cannot create a separate budget line. At this level, it's not possible to create a budget line in the level.
That one, yeah, we get you. That's fine.
So I need a comment.
Okay.
How does that recommendation sit with what the committee is asking us to do? Because the budget line is created at a very different level.
Okay, Vice Chairman, can you amplify? Yeah, thank you very much. As submitted, Chairperson, I'll go back to what was submitted earlier. That is on page 4, where we indicated as a committee that in this regard, the committee recommends that the Treasury considers allocating an additional 10 million kwacha to the ministry to facilitate the digitization of archive materials. This will preserve valuable historical content, enhance accessibility through modern platforms, and create opportunities for revenue generation through commercial use of digitized media assets. Then we went on to say, in the event that the additional 10 million kwacha cannot be allocated to this budget line, now the committee is urging the Treasury to reallocate 1 million kwacha from the provision for the construction of the Choma studio to ensure that this critical activity commences without a further delay. Because for the Choma studio, the monies are there. So if there was a variation of 1 million kwacha, then the ministry will be able to raise the 10 million kwacha to be channeled to the bit that we have stated. Then Honorable Mabumba, on the basis of what came from the minister and the minister, again we stated, and this stands what the committee has already advanced to the committee. We stated that the committee recommends that the ministry revises. So this is the recommendation that we are giving to the ministry. It's non-tax revenue projections to align with the realistic and the verifiable expectations. So in answering your question, I think that's the justification, Honorable Chairperson. What Honorable Tayenga said, but also what we submitted as we are advising, or we are giving a recommendation to the ministry, something that is justifiable and realistic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Murebwa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Mine is completely different, and I wish to take the acting chair out of the box to look at something broader. Honorable Chair, I remember a few years ago when the TV levies were introduced, a lot of people complained as to why this was to be so. And the explanation given then was the quality of the programs on ZNBC will completely change and probably bring in a lot more viewers, so that more ads can be run on ZNBC to generate income. I'm wondering whether the committee had any conversation with the witness when they appeared before you. Was there anything that was brought to the table to show that ZNBC has plans or intentions to revamp the way they do their business? Because like right now, I'm not really bothered about the television stations that have been taken to the other 6 provinces. My concern is in the content of what people will be watching, because the content will actually determine the viewership of the particular station, which in the process, when they have more viewership, then they can run more adverts. That way they'll raise more money than I'm hearing about the raising of 1 million. How will that money be raised? I don't think that a television station can run and survive on levyship, because this is serious business which is supposed to attract millions of viewers. Millions of viewers will be caught by certain adverts that will cause other people's businesses to blossom and so on. Did the committee have a chance to ask on what plans they have to revamp the viewership of ZNBC? I hope my question is clear, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Honorable members? Okay, on page number 13 now we move to head 36, that is the Zambia Correction Service Commission. On your recommendations, I know it's different from what we have. The delayed releases of funds under Zambia Correction Services Commission. You have raised the concern where it says the committee observes with concern that as at 30th of July 2025, the Ministry of Finance and National Planning had only released 9,631,000 out of the total allocation of 16,101,000, representing 50.23%. Now, when I look at the table in terms of the budget, the 16,101,000 is the total budget for the year, isn't it? And if we are to do a bit of computation on a monthly basis, it means then this ministry should be given about 1,341,600. If you are to spread that 16 million. And when you multiply that 1,341,000 by the 7 months, because at the 30th of July, then that's a 7 month, isn't it? It will give you exact about 9.3 million. But you are worried, your committee is saying it is urging the treasury to ensure that there is timely and predictable releases of funds. From an accounting perspective, one would say the Ministry, in fact, of Finance was, for me, that's my understanding. I would say it's at 100% because this is the budget for the whole year, 16 million, isn't it? So if you divide by 12 months, you expect about 1.3 per month, unless if there's a project which was supposed to be done like in the first quarter or the second quarter. So I just wanted to find out maybe a bit of more explanation by that. Or is it the desire of the committee that this 16 million should have been given in the first quarter of the year? You can respond to Honorable Muleba on this.
Honorable Muleba's question will be responded by Honorable Taengwa.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. In answering the question raised by Honorable Muleba concerning the content and the TV license on the increment, there was, in our conversation with the Ministry, there was a suggestion of actually reviewing the ZNBC Act and the IBA Act. That would actually have given them now the powers for them to see how best they would raise the funds and improve on the content of the content that is produced by ZNBC. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Looking at your question, Honorable Chairperson, where we are saying the committee observes that with concern that as at 31st or 30th July 2025, the Minister of Finance and National Planning had only released 9.6 million kwacha out of the total allocation of 16.1 million kwacha, representing 59.6%. The committee therefore urges the Treasury to ensure that there is timely and predictable release of funds to the Commission in line with the approved cash flow profiles. So we are trying to reflect, because the past 3 years the trend has been the same, especially like 2024, 2025, when the year was almost like ending, like 50% of the funds were not released. So even looking at this year, this is the last quarter and we are only remaining with 2 months. So the fear of the committee is that the trend that has been observed by the committee for the past 3 years, when the year is almost like ending, the unreleased or the funds not released to the ministry are sent back to the treasury. So I think that's where we are basing, not necessarily using the skills of accounting like what should like in 3 or quarterly. So we are looking at reviewing, also reflecting on the trend when it comes to like releasing of these funds for the past 3 years, 2024, 2025, and also having those fears as a committee. If that continues to repeat itself, it will be very difficult for the spending agents to actualize and implement the planned programs and activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Simunji.
Thank you, Chair. From the response from our Vice Chairperson, I wanted to find out from the witnesses whether with this trend which has been taking place like this, if there was a proposal that remitted at the end of the year can be rephrased so that the money doesn't go back to finance in order to complete the projects which are intended to be done.
Okay, Vice Chairperson. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. On that one, we didn't interrogate further, just to find out if the ministry had been engaging the Treasury Ministry of Finance for unspent funds to be reinvested and be used for the planned activities. That one, I think I will be lying on behalf of the committee that we engaged the ministry or the spending agents. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members, I think we come to the end of our interaction with the team information and the communication technology. We are meeting the Minister of Finance, I think, on Wednesday next week, and these recommendations will be taken. Honourable okay.
Yes, sorry. Thank you, Honourable Chair.
issues are raised, but okay, though we are not taking part, but I'm failing to get the resolutions on the way you finish up with these items. That was the concern raised by Honorable Smoshi over this issue of projected. I don't know whether it was Honorable Smoshi or someone. I don't know how it ended. What was the last part of discussion? There's this question asked by Honorable Smoshi over the, you call it ring fencing, so that these funds are not mopped, they are not removed, they are not taken from the ministry back to the treasury. So I want to, in the same vein, wouldn't it be a fair way of handling matters that the report by media to contain that recommendation? Because you see, when monies have been budgeted and released, delayed in release, why should again this same which was budgeted with the activities be taken away, whilst the activities remain uncompleted or not done? What's the idea of budgeting? So for me, I wanted to second Honorable Smwinji that the Ministry of Finance should be advised not take away these monies, because it is their weakness, it is their delayment which has made the ministry not to implement these activities. So those were my two suggestions. Thank you.
Question? Yeah, I think just a comment, Honorable Chairperson. I feel, or we feel as a committee, this is where the expanded committee on planning and budgeting, especially that you have an opportunity to meet with the Minister of Finance and the Treasury, because at the end of the day, we are not part of the executive as a committee. So your committee, as you interact with the Minister of Finance or the Treasury, the issue raised by Honorable Emiutu, these are some of the issues that you need to bring to the Minister of Finance as a recommendation, like unspent late release of funds, and then you know the ministries, provinces and spending agencies, they do not have time to spend the resources. Like for example, this is October. There are ministries, provinces and spending agencies that have not received funding. If they will receive, for example, in December, it's now the expanded committee on planning and budgeting to make that recommendation to the minister if those funds can be retained and reinvested for the planned activities. I submit, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we get you, sir. So as I indicated, we'll end here. Thank you very much for appearing before this committee. We can only wish you the best for the rest of the day. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson and the committee.
Thank you.
Good morning. The Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee has just received submissions from the Committee on Media, Information and Communication Technologies that was led by the Vice Chairperson, Mr. Sidney Mshanga, who is also a Watcher Constituency Member of Parliament. And they were making their submissions for the consideration of the 2026 sector budget analysis. And so just now, we stand by for the second witness to make their submissions to the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee. Good morning.